That's me doing 80s rock right there. I always wanted to be a musician, and now I officially am. Plus, since nobody wants to perform in Philadelphia for July 4th, I'm going to try to throw my hat in the ring to try to become one of the new bands that's going to be singing there. In any event, welcome to another edition of the Craig Carton Show. My main man, Tyrone Johnson, lazy, couldn't make it in today, so he's doing his portion of the show from home. And today's one of those days where, and I don't think this is egotistical to say this because I have no ego left anymore. Today's one of those days where the audience, frankly, is blessed that I came into work today. And I'll tell you why. I gave a speech earlier this morning at a New Jersey high school about responsible gambling. And there was a chance based on when that speech ended and traffic coming into the city that I may not have made it in for the podcast. And I gave everybody a heads up so everybody knew there was a chance that, like yesterday, when I took a well-deserved day off because my shoulders hurt from carrying everybody around here, that there might be a second day in a row of just Tyrone alone. But I made it in. I'm a hard worker. I'm a trooper. I'm committed to the task at hand, and I'm paid handsomely to do this show, as everybody might assume at my level of broadcasting. That being said, ego aside, because I have no ego left, I've done everyone a great service here today. Had I not come in today, and had you been left to endure my dear friend Tyrone A. Johnson for the better part of the next 60 minutes, you would have had to have heard a story about, what's her name? Haley Van Lith. So I've saved you from WNBA chatter today and the retirement of a woman I've never heard of named Haley Van Lith, which sounds kind of like the female bad guy in a James Bond movie. Like she was the antagonist in Octopussy, or one of those things like Bond, James Bond. Nice to meet you, Mr. Bond. Van Lith, Haley Van Lith. And they're at the Baccarat table, and next thing you know, he's getting some side boob action, and she's the arch enemy that he has to take down before the world comes to an end. So you're all welcome. I don't need a pat on the back. I don't need emails and text messages thanking me. I just want to let you know I am always here of service to you, the audience that has made us the fastest growing, most watched sports podcast on social media today. Now, let's get to, good morning, Tyrone. How are you? My apologies.
Good morning. Number one, thanks for checking on me after an Amtrak train fire. I'm lucky to be alive, period. You leave that part out. Yeah, Amtrak train fire. You're in your vehicle.
Let me ask you a question.
I'm in
were you on the train when the train caught on fire?
I was not. Thank God.
Then stop.
Thank God. Thank God. Okay, because I was this much going into the fire of the belly of the beast.
There's a fire 30 miles away from where I'm standing. Thank God I'm safe. Why wouldn't you be safe?
See? Because I was going to go right into the fire. I just saw a video of about 20
people who are still stuck in an upside-down roller coaster in Galveston, Texas. Thank God I'm good. Thank God I'm not on that roller coaster.
I am, because you're a roller coaster guy.
As you missing an Amtrak fire.
No. It was great that I missed the fire. Number two, the concert that everybody is canceling is not in Philly. The one that's getting canceled everywhere is in Washington, D.C., for the record. And number three, I wasn't going to talk about Haley Van Lith today, but I will say this. That young lady got a raw deal out there in Connecticut. She's shooting 50% from three, and they cut her.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we're not talking about somebody I never heard of. It's good to see Tyrone. Everyone knows we're just busting balls. Love Tyrone, obviously. Last night, of course, Game 6. I thought the Spurs would win. I can't say I thought they'd win by 30, to be honest about it. But I think Game 7 Saturday night, tomorrow night, by the way. And you got to be careful sometimes. Clearly, the Thunder favored. They should be favored. I think it's going to be a lot of work for the Spurs to win back-to-back games against that team because they don't lose back-to-back games and haven't in the playoffs in a long, long time. That being said, it's Game 7. You roll the dice. You don't know what side of the bed you're going to roll out on and if your shot's going to be falling. Now, I'm obviously going to pick the Thunder to win Game 7, but you obviously never know. For example, I don't know, take the Cleveland Cavaliers this year. Lost 2 Game 6s at home, won 2 Game 7s on the road. before they got swept by the New York Knicks. So you honestly just never know what's going to happen. But I think we all learned, I'm not sure if it's a valuable lesson, but something interesting about SGA and the Thunder last night. First off, I give the Spurs credit. They came out ready for a fight. They were very physical last night, and I don't think of them as the most physical team. Part of that's because Wemby's just not a big, thick dude, but Wemby's got balls. Wemby's got a backbone. He doesn't back down from physical contact. But I thought the rest of the guys did a really good job. Anytime the Thunder drove the lane, there was contact. Now, some of the contact was a little bit more than what you want, and fouls got called, and I think they were legitimate fouls. And I thought the refs did a good job last night. And some was just good, old-fashioned, man-on-man, you're a warrior, I'm a warrior, let's have at it. And I think that set the tone for last night. And then on top of that, SGA last night, who I think by his own admission would tell you he had a really bad offensive game last night. I think he took 3 free throws all night, something like that. Single-digit free throws. As great a scorer as he is, and as great a player, clearly, as he is, as back-to-back MVP award winner, if you're not giving him the benefit of the flop whistle, he only took 3 free throws last night. As good as the Thunder are, and it seems like something that should be obvious to everybody, but you rarely ever see it, if he doesn't get to the line, they're a beatable team.
Yes, you're absolutely right about that. Now, I don't think that'll happen again in Game 7 like you just mentioned, but you never know. And very, very impressed that this Spurs team has won. They fought. They have balls like you just said, but also strategically they figured something out. Something I think the Knicks are going to be able to use in the finals if it is OKC there, about how to defend SGA and how to defend that offense. I'm super intrigued about this Game 7. We're not supposed to be here. This is all too early on the Spurs side, but I can't really count them out anymore. And the Thunder look so much more vulnerable now than they did a year ago when basically the whole world was saying they're about to win 7 championships. Like, they look so mortal all of a sudden.
Yeah, and because now you're in, when's the last time? I don't think they ever had a Game 7 last year. Obviously, this is their first Game 7 this year. The Pacers took them to Game 7 in the finals, actually. You're right. I apologize for that. But this is not a team with a lot of elimination game experience. Right. And elimination games are a completely different animal. Now, if you want to buy into what the spread tells us, I think it does tell us something. Last night, the Spurs were favored by 3.5. Obviously, they covered that easily. And that game was a rout. Obviously, barely played in the fourth quarter. You know, the big stars. The Thunder, rightfully so, are favored tomorrow night. But they're only favored by 3.5. That's got to be the small spread they've had in the last 2 years for a home playoff game. Now, that doesn't mean anything. Obviously, there's a 3-point spread last night, and the Spurs won by 30. But when you have a Game 7, and I love it. From a Knick perspective, I love it. From an NBA fan perspective, there's nothing better. In all sports, I don't care if it's hockey, I don't care if it's baseball, I don't care if it's basketball. The 2 greatest words in sports for all of us are Game 7. Because anything can happen, and you're going to have somebody that becomes a superstar on Saturday night. Now, it might be Wemby, who's already won. It might be SJ or Jalen Williams, who are already stars, obviously, in the league, and SJ's back-to-back MVP award winner. But you can't dick around with, well, we've got 2 to win 1. Because if that's the mindset, that mindset can cost you playoff series. From a Knick perspective, look, I think the Spurs are a better matchup, but it doesn't matter to me. It's going to be a tough sledding in the NBA Finals anyway, and I think Knick fans got exactly what we hoped for, and that is a now very physical series, a series that goes 7. Obviously, whoever wins it on Saturday night comes in, obviously, you know, in a different spot physically than the majority of the Knicks roster is, and I think it plays in the Knicks' hands. Number 2 on that, in the history of the NBA, there are only 3 teams that have been in the spot the Knicks are in, which is they have played 4 games in the last 23 days where we get into the NBA Finals. In the 3 other times that has happened. I think it was the 99 Spurs did it. The Kobe Shaq Lakers did it, I think, and the Steph KD Warriors did it. I'll tell you how those teams fared right after this. to the Carton Show. Tyrone Johnson here as well. I just had a little feedback in my ear. I apologize for that. In any event, Game 7 on Saturday. The Knicks got some bad news yesterday, and that is something that none of us knew about. Game 4, Knicks-Cavs. In the second quarter of that game, Mitchell Robinson, the very talented rebounder and backup big man for the Knicks behind Karl-Anthony Towns, apparently broke his pinky. And now we've gone back, we've seen video, and the video of is actually him holding his left hand when the right pinky's broken. They decided to have surgery on that pinky yesterday, and of course he is going to play. Of course he's going to play. He's going to play because he's a man, because he's a Knick. And you don't need your pinky to block shots. You don't need your pinky to get rebounds. He doesn't shoot the ball anyway. You don't need your pinky to dunk on an alley-oop off a pick and roll. And I like the fact that Mitchell Robinson is once again showing the world that New York athletes are tough. Like if this were, let me think of a good comparison. Great. Yeah. If this were a 76er, he'd be out for a month and a half. If this were Joel Embiid, he would tell that the vaginosis he was suffering would keep him out until next February. So once again, New York proves that we're also the toughest cities, that our players play through pain, and he is going to play with a broken pinky on Wednesday night, Game 1 of the NBA Finals against the Thunder or the Spurs. So once again, while everybody else yesterday was like, oh no, he's got a broken pinky, timetable for return, unknown. And then it was, oh my gosh, he's gonna have surgery, timetable for return, unknown. I sat back like a G, and I said, he's gonna play. He's gonna play. If there's any thought process at all that Mitchell Robinson's not going to play, then go back up on the porch, buy yourself a dog, and let the men handle their business. Mitchell Robinson is a man, and men play through pain and broken pinkies. It's simple. You pull the pinky, you set it, you tape it to your ring finger, and you play basketball. And if you don't think you can, guess what? He played the third quarter with it. He played the fourth quarter with it. And there's no more pain than when you first break it. Mitchell Robinson, once again, has an S on his chest. And the New York Knicks are going to be just fine with all 9 of his good fingers.
You know what? This is ridiculous. You're acting like the man deserves some sort of medal of freedom something. He doesn't deserve a damn thing.
This is like coming back from Nam.
No, it's not. And how about he actually play effectively before you say this? Because while you're right about his limited game and the things they don't ask him to do much, but Cat gets in foul trouble a lot. So it's something to watch there. If Cat was, especially if it's the Spurs and the primary is Wemby, it's going to be interesting to see. Not so much can he do his little pick and roll stuff. It's going to be how much contact he can do on that hand, because after the surgery and that pin or whatever they put into it, it is going to hurt him. So yes, he's going to play. You got to see if he's going to play well.
There's a pain medicine called Toradol. It's
but
very
you're
big in the NFL, actually.
It doesn't but it doesn't last the whole game. You're only allowed to do that one time.
No, you do as often as you want. It's like
no, you can't. They don't allow it anymore.
So what you do is this. I have some experience with this, in the mean streets of the Jewish community centers where I played ball back in the Tel Aviv days. You might even see my look. See how crooked my pinky is right there?
No.
Let me show you over here. You see how crooked that pinky is? That's because I do man's work. That's man's work right there. So you tape these 2 fingers together, you put a shot of Toradol right there at the base of it, and you feel no pain at all. 0. Mitchell Robinson is a man's man. Mitchell Robinson grew up tough. Mitchell Robinson's family was not around. Basically grew up on the streets of the South. And Mitchell Robinson is not going to let the most needless finger we have stop him in his quest to lead the NBA Finals in rebounds and putbacks and alley-oop dunks. And he, my friends, might very well be kind of like the year where, what's his name? Former Sixer, won the MVP.
Andre Iguodala?
Yeah, he's going to be shades of Andre Iguodala, where the guy you least think has a chance to be the MVP of the finals, Mitchell Robinson, is going to be the first 9-finger award winner of a finals MVP trophy. Come get some.
Goodness.
And
yeah, and by the way,
going to be so obnoxious when it happens.
Andre Iguodala should give that award to Curry. It's the worst award ever. LeBron averaged 40 points on him in that finals, and they go, well, Iguodala did a great job. That's the most pathetic award ever. And obviously, if the Knicks are to win, the finals MVP will be Brunson, OG, or Cat. It will not be some damn Mitchell Robinson.
You'd be surprised. 15 rebounds, 10 points, 15% from the free throw line. Never happened before.
15% from the free throw line. Wait a minute, though. Before we go to this break, you got to answer. You got to tell us what happened with those other 3 teams that had the rest like the Knicks. You never told
Thank you. So the other 3 teams in the history of the NBA playoffs that had the same kind of rest that the Knicks have had, where the Knicks will play 4 games in 23 days, all 3 of those teams, and again, it has no bearing, obviously, on what the Knicks are going to do, but it's just an interesting historical fact. All 3 of those teams won their NBA Finals 4-1. And obviously the rest, according to people that watched at the time, they feel like the rest played a role in that. So it's just interesting that in the 3 other times, and they're all modern era teams, like I didn't have to go back to 1965 or like the Red Holtzman Knicks or anything like that. All 3 of those teams won their NBA Finals with ease, 4-1. Now, if that should happen, that's a great lesson to everybody. The more rest you get for the NBA Finals, the better it is for you. But it's just interesting that the Steph KD Warriors, 4-1, the Kobe Shaq Lakers, 4-1, and the Duncan Robinson Spurs, also 4-1. So it's interesting that the Knicks are the 4th team in the history of basketball to have that type of layoff prior to the NBA Finals. And the first 3 teams that did, the NBA Finals weren't competitive. They won going away, and you were crowned as NBA champion. So from my lips to God's ears, hopefully that's a trend. Hopefully that means something. And hopefully whoever comes limping into Madison Square Garden for games 3 and 4 of this series feel the wrath of not having the amount of rest that the Knicks had. Now, Jalen Brunson was asked about it yesterday, because we had 9 days off prior to the series, of course, against the Cavs. And that first game against the Cavs is when the Knicks got down 22 with 7 minutes to go, quite famously now. And Mike Brown spoke about it as well. And they both had an interesting take. And the take is that it's impossible in practice to match the intensity level of a playoff game. Even a playoff game that you wind up winning by 20 or 30. So they're trying to find ways to challenge themselves and maintain some type of rhythm. Whether they do or not, we'll find out next Wednesday night. Coming up, the biggest wise ass I've ever met. to the Craig Carton Show. Great to have you here. Tyrone Johnson here as well. Major League Baseball players and owners have now traded proposals to try to save baseball after this season. I don't like to get into the minutia of it because it's pointless and it's crazy. But I'll just tell you this, that the owners made it official now. They're looking for a hard cap. The players' proposal offered not a hard cap, but a bit of a basement where if you don't spend $150 million on your payroll, there's a tax involved. They didn't explain whether or not that tax gets you up to $150, so that becomes a minimum basement for salary. But the bottom line is this. The bottom line is that the proposal from Major League Baseball delivers exactly what baseball said they were going to ask for, which they've not officially asked for since 1994, and that is an actual hard cap. And every other sport has a version of a cap. Baseball is the only sport that does not. I know baseball has done legitimate fan studies. I've been made privy to those studies. I think they're actually public. Whether you've seen them or not, I have seen them. And that is that 83% of baseball fans that have been polled nationwide, and we're talking thousands of fans, so I think it's a pretty legitimate, cross-section of baseball fans, they're in favor of there being some type of cap as long as there's a floor. And most fans' biggest concern is not that the Dodgers or the Yankees or, the Phillies for that matter, or the Red Sox, major market teams that have owners willing to write major checks, Mets included, is not that those teams have that ability. It's that why don't the Pirates spend another $50 million so they don't have to see a guy like Paul Skeens, one of the best, if not the best young pitchers in baseball, be shipped off somewhere for 5 more prospects or draft picks, when if you keep a guy like Paul Skeens, you can build around him and maybe one day become a legitimate World Series threat. And I found that interesting, that while you would think fans mostly would want unlimited spending so that if they one day have an owner like the Mets currently have in Steve Cohen who's willing to continue to stroke checks, that'd be more important to them. But it's very interesting, according to the polling that Major League Baseball has done, most baseball fans are more interested in a basement than an actual cap, or a lack of a cap for that matter. So I thought that was interesting, but here's the reality. The reality is much like after the Phillies lost to the Blue Jays in '93 in that great World Series where Joe Carter hits the walk-off against Mitch Williams and everybody revolts against Curt Schilling. What?
It was why it's got to always be Philadelphia teams, and also
some people claim greatest World Series of all time.
Mitch Williams. Yeah. Mitch Williams gave up the home run, not Schilling.
Yeah, Mitch Williams said he threw a fastball. Joe Carter said it looked like a slider. I can't speak to that, but that did happen factually. So 94, there's a strike. Why is there a strike? Because the owners at the time in 94 said we want to put a cap in, and the players said we're not going to agree to a cap. Here's the underlying reality, though, of the Major League Baseball Players Union, which I find interesting. There's a battle amongst the players between the quote-unquote haves and the have-nots. The haves, meaning guys like Bryce Harper, guys like Garrett Cole, guys like Max Scherzer, guys that are towards the end of their careers who have made FU money. Those guys fully support the notion of a work stoppage. They've already gotten paid. So obviously it has no financial impact on them or their futures. The younger players, who are the upcoming stars, who haven't yet reached arbitration or haven't yet gotten that first opportunity to negotiate a significant $200+ million contract, those guys want to keep playing. Those guys don't want a work stoppage because as soon as there's a work stoppage, the clock stops. And it puts back another year, if you miss a year of baseball, towards them being eligible to one day get the big contract. Now, 3 years ago, when we had the near work stoppage, the union was in favor of sitting out. And the guy that's now in charge of the union, I forget his first name, it's something Meyer. I think it's Bruce Meyer. He's the new guy ever since the last guy got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. This guy that you see a picture of right now, we'll put him on the screen, Bruce Meyer, thank you for that, guys. He's the interim executive director of the union. That guy, and I have this on good authority from both players and from people on the ownership side, that guy is desperate for there to be a work stoppage. He wants a work stoppage. He didn't want there to be baseball this year. He fought very hard, and he lost out on his position a year ago to make sure there's a work stoppage. That guy right there is bad for baseball. That guy right there is bad for baseball fans.
He's a hero.
If that guy gets his way, there will be no baseball next year. And I do not know how that's possibly good for baseball fans.
It's good for fans because at the end of the day, you're going to get a worse product because of this deal. Notice what you just did there. I don't understand you being pro-owner on this one. I don't understand it. I don't agree with it.
I got 5 seconds. I want to hear your in-depth thoughts on that because the other side's worthy of hearing. Quick break. We'll get Tyrone's side and why he's pro D-bag after this.
We have to endure months of manufactured rumors about will he or won't he retire LeBron James. They are probably, Donnie, working on the Decision 2.0 for Amazon Prime as we speak. Is Jim Gray still around? But here is the beauty of the predictive markets. They make insufferable stories about insufferable people highly profitable.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You can recruit super young talent that may go in the NBA. You can recruit older guys and have them grow up together. But if you want players to stay, either sign them to contracts or treat them well enough where they're going to stay. To me, it's pretty simple. And, you know, a lot of coaches last year had good years and they left skid marks on their schools and nobody said a word.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Great job, clearly, right? They're 16-4 since he took over, but we have to remember when Rob Thompson took over for the Phillies and they went 65-46 back in 2022, he finished 5th in NL Manager of the Year that year. So could Mattingly win it? Of course, but he doesn't really have history on his side. I'm still on Don Kelly 15-1 to win Manager of the Year.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
They're trading right now currently at 74 wins on the season, which means the Kalshi marketplace goes by 5-win intervals. 75-plus wins for those Houston Astros. That's a 49% contract to the yes, which a $100 investment pays back $205, Greg. I'm not high on this team. Look, again, 75 wins for the Astros is terrible, but this team might not even look the same as where we stand today by the time we get to that deadline.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Build an outhouse. That's a way for you to go buy a porta potty or something like that. We were just debating here during the break. A single family house, a freestanding house, not a condo, not an attached townhome or row home. Family of 4. What's the appropriate amount of bathrooms for a family of 4 to have in their house? And I said 4. So the husband and wife share a bathroom. Kid number 1 gets a bathroom. Kid number 2 gets a bathroom. And then a downstairs bathroom for guests or for you to use off your living room. 4 bathrooms, 4 people. That's appropriate?
I mean, that's ideal, but that's not real. That's not how real people live.
For a freestanding house? Yeah, I think that's real.
House, most of the ones in my area have 2. If they have 4 bed, they'll have 2.5 bath. They have
2.5 baths. So that means you have a Jack and Jill bath for the kids, a bath for the husband and wife to share, and then just a toilet, not an actual bath, for guests, or like if you're downstairs, you want to go upstairs to take a leak or something like that. So you think 2.5 is the norm?
Majority.
Huh.
Yeah. Where I live, it is. That's
I'm
the
trying
norm.
to think. When I lived in Huntington Valley, Pennsylvania, first house I ever bought.
That was a very nice house.
Yeah, but I didn't have 4 bathrooms in that house.
I know.
I think I had exactly what you're saying. I had a full bath in my bedroom. We had another full bath that all 4 of my kids shared, and then we had just a toilet downstairs. You're right.
Right.
That's right.
The norm.
2.5 baths.
That's the norm. That's the norm.
Not nearly enough bathrooms for people. I got 6 people in my house. That's a lot of ass.
Well,
anyway,
you need more now. But now, can we get
before
that?
you give me your take on baseball? If we did adjust the payroll levels compared to these proposals, there's only 6 teams in baseball right now with team payrolls above $245 million. Mets, Dodgers, Yankees, Blue Jays, Phillies, Braves. Teams below the new basement that the players offered, which is $171 million. There's like 15 teams. So there are more teams that are currently under the basement than teams that are over what the new cap would be. So those 6 teams would have to shed salary, and the 12 or 15 or so teams under it would have to spend more salary. But you on this one, interestingly enough, have sided with the players. Please expand on why.
Okay, there's a couple of things. One, in the other 3 sports that you mentioned when they talked about a cap and a floor, the floor is 90% of the payroll. In baseball, they made it just under 70% of the payroll. Major problem with that. If you actually want to help the game and you actually want to have parity, you must raise the floor to force teams to spend more. You cannot make the floor 30% less, because that's problematic and that will cause issues. The other part, if you don't mind putting that graphic back on the screen, please. I need an explanation if this is happening in 1 year. So now, the Mets, okay, take them to the side. The other teams are usually good in recent history. So now the Dodgers have to get under, right? How do those other teams, how do they shed that salary? And now, do they get held ransom? So they've been trying to win. They've won back-to-back championships. They're going for number 3. Now they're directly, I'm a Dodgers fan in this scenario. My team, they spent for Ohtani. They spent for those players, right? Now I have to shed them. What do I get in return for giving up players that I paid for to help me win? I get nothing in return. So now the Phillies have to part with Schwarber or Bryce Harper or Trey Turner or Wheeler just because you said so arbitrarily, when my team's actually been trying to win for years. My issue with it is the floor is far too low. And this isn't a quibble. It's 20% too low. That's a lot of millions too low. And they're also punishing teams that actively try to win, including the Braves, who have the best record in baseball. They now have to arbitrarily give up players. And what do they get in return? Why would those low salary teams give me prospects when they know I have to give up the money? You're screwing teams that have tried to win and rewarding the damn Marlins. You're rewarding the Pirates. You're rewarding the Rays. I find that to be repugnant, and it's bad for me as a fan that my team gets stripped away. And that's what this does.
Well, I don't think it's repugnant. I think that's a big word
It's
for that
repugnant.
one.
Why am I losing Bryce Harper?
That
Why?
being said, there's got to be a plan that we've not seen yet for how they're going to force teams to shed salary. I've not seen that written on what the plan is. If teams get grandfathered into contracts expire, which is my best guess is what they'll do. So I think it'll be a scale, like over the next 5 years, you have to get under this number. I know, but I haven't seen what the plan is. There's got to be a plan for the 6 teams that are above the new alleged or proposed threshold. There's got to be a way for them to get under, other than just having a yard sale to get rid of players, because I don't disagree with you on that standpoint. But what's interesting about it is, I love when fans, I'm not saying you because I don't think you said this, I like when, I'm typically 99% of the time a pro player guy. I don't like this Bruce Meyer guy because I know for a fact that 3 years ago, he was the driving force to try to make sure there was no baseball. And as a fan, like you are of the Phillies, and I'm of the New York baseball teams. Right now, I'm a Fugazi Yankee fan, but you get the point. Why would I ever want to support a guy who is quite clearly on the record as being in favor of a work stoppage of some kind? Whatever you want to call that work stoppage, a lockout, a strike. For you and I as fans, if there's no baseball, we lose. The amount of money the guys make has no impact on me as a fan who wants to go to the ballpark 5 times a year, watch a few games, and obviously stay at home and root for my favorite team, whatever that team might be, is on TV. So I can't support any proposal, to be honest with you, from a guy that I know as a fact has an ulterior motive to make sure there's no baseball. This clown believes by shutting the sport down, that's the only leverage the players have. I'm not even sure exactly what it is that the players want, other than free market society, make as much money as possible. Obviously, I support that. You're going to support that. We should support that. We're capitalists and we're Americans. But the reality is that The free market society only works if everybody participating in it believes in it. So if you have 5 or 6 teams that believe in, I've got the money, I can write the check, and that gives me the best chance to win, that's great. But if 24 other teams are like, I don't want to write that check, I'd rather sit back, be non-competitive, and have those teams stroke me a check, because at the end of the day, it's money in my personal pocket, I find that problematic. But my biggest thing, without even getting to the weeds on this offer is better than that offer, is why would I ever support a guy whose main stance, and this is well documented based on the last time they negotiated a few years ago, whose main selling point to the players is, we're going to not play. I don't know why anyone would support that. I don't know why the players at all. I understand why the rich guys don't give a rat's ass, but I don't know why the union collectively would ever allow a guy, pitch them on the notion of it's in our best interest not to play baseball. And then my final thing on this, and then you can have a retort for sure, Turn. I do want to hear it. I don't understand why, when it comes to baseball specifically, we collectively have such a problem with owners making money. There's no other industry out there where we tried to demonize somebody that took a financial risk in buying a company, actually being successful with that risk and making money. Like when I go to my local pizzeria and it's $3 a slice, but man, I love that pizza. I don't go home saying, man, it pisses me off that Vinny makes so much money selling me pizza. I like the product. I'm happy to pay for the product. And at no point do I go home and say to myself, that damn Vinny, I'm boycotting his pizza place. He's making too much money. But when it comes to baseball owners specifically, we don't bitch about NFL owners making gobs and gobs of money. But with baseball owners, we have this weird fascination that they make too much money. Well, you know what? I'm a capitalist. I've owned companies before. I've owned businesses before. I tried to live out the American dream of creating individual wealth by taking a financial risk to build something. Why should I be demonized for doing that? You got 25 seconds.
Yeah, number one, what you're doing is evil right now because you're lying to people. There is no risk in buying a Major League Baseball team. There is no risk at all. And for you to call it a pizzeria when you know it's not, that was intentional to people.
It's the exact same thing.
No, it's not. There's no risk to lose money in a Major League Baseball team. It is not the exact same thing. You know it's not the exact same thing. And you do that on purpose to talk to people like me like we're stupid when we're not. There's no risk.
I don't think you're stupid at all. I love you. Hey there, it's your buddy Craig Carton. If you're trying to find out how to get all the great content that me and Tyrone Johnson give you every single day, here's Tyrone to tell you how.
You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and of course, Amazon Music as well. We're at all 4.
That's right. It's the Craig Carton Show podcast every weekday morning live at 11, replayed at noon on YouTube and on SportsGrid throughout the country. Check it out.
They're trading right now currently at 74 wins on the season, which means the Kalshi marketplace goes by 5-win intervals. 75-plus wins for those Houston Astros. That's a 49% contract to the yes, which a $100 investment pays back $205, Greg. I'm not high on this team. Look, again, 75 wins for the Astros is terrible, but this team might not even look the same as where we stand today by the time we get to that deadline.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You can recruit super young talent that may go in the NBA. You can recruit older guys and have them grow up together. But if you want players to stay, either sign them to contracts or treat them well enough where they're going to stay. To me, it's pretty simple. And, you know, a lot of coaches last year had good years and they left skid marks on their schools and nobody said a word.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Go over the summer where there's drastic changes and gas drops down to $3 a gallon, $2.50 a gallon in some states, and then you have some of the price markets go down. You ride that momentum is what Joe's talking about. So if you say right now, which party will win the U.S. House, and you think it's the Republicans currently trading at 20%, you take them now, and if good press comes, that turns into 25% and 30%, then you have the option to cash out.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
Show. Tyrone Johnson here as well. So the New York Giants decided to have a team meeting organized by John Harbaugh, the new head coach, so that everybody could clear the air about the recent dust-up between Abdul Carter, their second-year defensive player, and, of course, Jackson Dart, their second-year starting quarterback. After Jackson Dart, as you know by now, introduced President Trump at a rally in New York, Abdul Carter went on social media and complained about it. Then he deleted the tweet. Then the two men apparently spoke offline, and they're all good. Then there's been some conversations in the Giants locker room, and it became this really stupid, juvenile nonsense going on 4 months before the season even starts. So John Harbaugh got wind of it, obviously, and thought it'd be smart to have a players meeting with the coach, obviously, in the room, not a players-only meeting, so everybody could clear the air, let some of the team veterans say their piece, let Jackson Dart say what he had to say, let Abdul Carter say what he had to say, so we could squash this and move forward, right? Now, the gist of the conversations, as has been reported by Giant insiders, is that veterans did get up and said, look, we're a family here. Doesn't mean we all have to like each other 24/7, but if we have an issue with one another, let's not run to social media to complain about it. Let's handle it internally. Well, I think that's very mature. I think everybody would agree that had Abdul Carter not gone on social media and had called Jackson Dart, they could have talked like men. They could have hammered it out, and none of us would have known anything about it. And then the only people upset with Jackson Dart would have been people that just don't like Trump, and we're good with all that, right? But one little thing happened on the way to Oz that I find interesting, that I think is fair for me to call the New York Giants a dysfunctional football team. And I always say things stink from the head down. So this is a John Harbaugh thing now that I think needs to be addressed. We all agree that this became a mountain out of a molehill because of the byplay between Jackson Dart and Abdul Carter. Both men are allowed to have their opinions. Both men are allowed to say everything they said. But obviously it played out publicly, which is why we know about it and why we're talking about it. So when John Harbaugh decided to have a meeting about it, how do you have that meeting and Abdul Carter not be at that meeting? Now, I want to be very fair about this. This is not Abdul Carter's fault. Abdul Carter asked for and received permission to have an excused absence from the OTA they're involved with right now for, I believe, religious reasons. I believe Wednesday was a Muslim holiday. I don't claim to know about it, so I'm not going to speak on it.
It was. It's
but I believe,
yes, it was.
I believe it's the exact reason. I know a lot of people were mocking Wemby last night for the outfit he wore to the game because it looked like a long dress. I believe that was out of respect to his religious beliefs, and that's religious garb. I believe that's the story behind that.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, so if Abdul Carter went to the Giants in advance, which clearly he did, and said to them, Wednesday is an important religious holiday for my family. I would like to have that day off from OTA so I could observe the holiday. Well within his right to ask for that. The New York Giants, as every team would, granted him the day off. That's all above board. That's all great. But if you know you've already given Abdul Carter the day off, which they clearly knew because they gave him the day off, why would you schedule the team meeting to address this specific issue of him and Jackson Dart without him being one of the guys inside that locker room or room? You could have waited till today to have that get-together, or yesterday to have that get-together. And again, I know Giant fans believe in the concept that John Harbaugh is going to bring them back to prominence and they're going to win 10-plus games. And I agree with John Harbaugh wanting to clear the air amongst the guys. I think that's a smart decision. But you cannot do that if one of the two principals involved in the story from Jump Street is not physically in the room when you're clearing the air. Because nobody else had an issue with Jackson Dart publicly. I'm sure some guys probably questioned it privately, but not publicly. It only became an issue because Abdul Carter did it publicly and then all the fallout from that. So how do you have a meeting and Abdul Carter isn't in the meeting?
No, you're absolutely right, Craig. You're absolutely right. And then I don't think he understands for the public perception how that ends up reading what you just laid out there. Because we know based on because we don't know these people's hearts, we don't know them. But it reads as Jackson Dart was pro-Trump, Abdul Carter was anti-Trump, and they had an issue over it. That's how it reads. And now it looks like Well, Harbaugh now basically took a side by having a meeting when the anti-Trump guy wasn't there. That's how it reads. And it can be whatever it's going to be. But how it looks is Harbaugh agrees with Dart, so let's talk about it when the guy who doesn't agree with us is there. That's how it looks like to me, and that's not great for unity. For unity, it's not great.
No, and again, if I'm one of those veterans, I'm looking around going, where's Abdul at? Because I don't know maybe what day he has off. I'm not sure about his religious practices. I'm just doing my own thing. I'm getting myself ready for training camp and the season. I walk in, I'm obviously aware of the brouhaha, and the first thing I would do would be like, those two dudes have beef, but only one of those guys is here. You can't squash a beef if only one guy shows up. And again, it's not Abdul Carter's fault. So I'm not sure. It's funny how that's what you read into it, because you might be right. I know for a fact that John Harbaugh is a Trump guy, because John Harbaugh went to visit Trump at the White House. And Donald Trump actually publicly suggested that the New York Giants should hire him. So we know that the Harbaughs have a relationship and a friendship with the Trump, and they're well within their rights, obviously, to have relationships with the man. But it's interesting that if that's what you read into it,
that's what I read.
Others had to have read into that as well. Like, how can the head coach of the Giants call a team meeting about this very public issue now, knowing that one side of that very public issue is not physically going to be in the room for that meeting? My New York Jets have done a lot of stupid, embarrassing things. I don't think the New York Jets have ever done something that dumb. That was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, and that was on Johnny Harbaugh. So I'm sure Abdul Carter, was at the OTA yesterday and maybe today, whatever it is, and I'm sure that they've all squashed it. Everyone's now going to say we're moving forward. But I tell you, my first thought when I read the story that Abdul Carter was not there, and I didn't know it was for religious reasons at first, that came out a little bit later on. I figured he was just treating that meeting the way he treated the first 10 weeks of last season, watching porn and taking a nap. That's what I thought.
I understand that.
That your rock star defensive end, who you need to go out there and get some sacks this year, which you didn't do until the last couple weeks of the season. I figured he took a nap and forgot about the meeting, or he was watching Sophie Rain tease us without taking her clothes off. But apparently he was out for religious reasons. So that's a much better excuse than his excuse for missing meetings under Brian Daboll, because he was sleeping and watching porn. In any event, we'll give you thoughts on the upcoming weekend, and is Ohtani a fraud after this? Craig Carton Show. Tyrone Johnson here as well. A couple things before we get out of here. I'm not a big tennis guy. I find it terminally boring now that Jimmy Connors is retired after all these years. That being said, there's a guy named Skinner, right? Sinner? There's a dude named Sinner. He's like the best player in the world right now. So he was like minus 12,000 to win the French Open. He's won like 30 consecutive matches or something. So second round of the French Open, there are a couple idiots that decided to wager like $50,000 to win $900. That's how obscene the odds were for him to win. So he wins the first set, no problem. All right, great. He wins the second set, no problem. Great. He is the best player in the world right now. Third set, he's up 5-1 in the third set. So effectively, he's 4 points away from ending the match, winning 3 straight sets, and advancing on to the third round of the French Open, okay? Apparently in France this time of year, it's very hot, all right?
Yeah.
So he's starting to suffer from sunstroke. I don't know what that is. I thought it was an artichoke, but like a different version of it. But again, I guess it's when you're out in the sun too long, you're not hydrated enough, all right?
He had extreme cramping, all this stuff happened.
Yeah. So again, now the genesis of this story is that a guy wagered $50,000 to win $900 because it's a lock. Best player in the world, and he's dominating, all right? Dominating. Up 5-1, third set, he withdraws from the tournament because he had heat stroke or sunstroke, whatever it's called, and that guy loses $50,000. He was. He actually finished the match.
No, he finished the match. He lost 18 of the last 20
I thought he actually walked
points.
off the court.
No. After being up 5-1, he stayed out there like a man.
I thought he got
medicine.
DQ'd from the match.
No. He just got his butt kicked. He couldn't move. He literally couldn't move.
So it actually went 5 sets? Well, that changes the whole story now, doesn't it?
Well, I'm saying he was that beat up, though. He stayed out there.
What was the score in the fourth and fifth set? It was like 6-0, 6-0?
It was
so he just got
7-5.
He just got abused.
6-1, 6-1. He lost 18 of the last 20 points. He could not move.
Got it. Oh, what a loser. Yeah.
What do you mean? He stayed out there and took his medicine.
If you have heat stroke and you can't play, walk off the court like a man and take the L. Don't just go out there and go through the motions and embarrass yourself like that. See, I thought the story was that a guy bet $50,000 to win $900, and with 4 points to go, Sinner just walked off the court, and the guy's like, "Wait a minute, I just lost $50,000 because he just walked off the court." Now you're telling me he had 2 more sets and still lost?
Well, after being, how is that funny? He was up 5-1. He lost that set 7-5. Then lost 6-1, 6-1.
So what did he do? He just like lollygagged his way through it and couldn't run after any other shots?
Timeouts. He tried. He just didn't have it. His legs were cramping up on him.
That changes the whole story. Does it? Well, not for the guy that lost the $50,000, it doesn't. But my views on Sinner changed dramatically.
Well, he tried. He stayed out there.
Why didn't you tell me that?
Quit.
I thought he just quit playing. I guess effectively he did, but.
Right.
So wait a minute. You're telling me even with heat stroke, he was still able to win a couple of games?
Yeah. Couple. He's the best player.
Well, that sucks.
But he had nothing. He couldn't move.
Well,
he said he had no energy left at all.
The flip side of that is a different gambler bet a couple bucks on the other guy and won like $15,000 with the other guy's comeback because the odds didn't change fast enough for the guy. He got his bet in time before it was obvious that Sinner was in trouble. But I've never seen that happen before. And number 2, why would you ever risk $50,000 to win $900? It's just stupid. Now, I've done a lot of stupid things in the gambling world, for sure, but you're going to risk $50,000 to win $900. To me, if I'm going to risk $50,000, it's to win a minimum of $50,000, right? I'm not going to risk $50,000 to win $900. That's just stupid, which brings me to my wise ass of the day. Do I have time? How much time I got? So I gave a speech today in a New Jersey high school. 1,000 kids, 9, 10, 11th, and 12th grade.
Nice job by you.
A lot of these kids ask me great questions at the end of the speech. I give them a lot of credit. After the speech, I take pictures with a lot of the kids, sign some autographs, et cetera, et cetera. Kid comes up to me, 10th grade kid, so 15-year-old kid comes up to me. He's got a deck of cards in his hand and a $20 bill. Kid looks me dead in the eye after I've talked about going to prison and how gambling robbed me of everything and how I haven't made a wager in 8 years, coming up on June 30th, right? Kid comes up to me with a deck of cards and a $20 bill and says, I'll beat you one-on-one in blackjack right now. All day, old man. Any day you want some of this, I got you, and I've got the cards. I'm ready to go. And I look at this little kid, little pipsqueak, and I go, did someone ever tell you that it was cool being a wise ass? He goes, right now, head to head, I'll beat you in blackjack. And then the kid had the balls to ask me for my picture. So
did you take
there's
the
a
picture?
No, I told him to go F himself. I had to take a hike. Yeah, and I told the principal wants to talk to him. And then he started crying. Have a great weekend.
The UIM Formula One World Championship Series. We are over the moon excited about the upcoming season.
Let's go.
10,000 horsepower roars off the dock. Oh my, there's a problem. On the outside, side by side.
And he's lost control of the book.
Hopes and dreams of winning here.
Yes!
Get ready for round one, the Regione Sardegna Grand Prix of Italy, May 29th to 31st.
Craig Carton along with Tyrone Johnson. We got great news for you. CraigCartonShow.com. And Tyrone, what do you get if you go to that amazing website?
Well, right now you can subscribe to our upcoming newsletter. You put in your email address, and then bang, you'll get all the new Craig Carton Show content when it arrives.
Not just that, you also get merch drops, exclusive content, and appearances. So again, one more time, that website is CraigCartonShow.com.
That's for Abdul Carter. Hey, son, you want to be a leader? Show up to meetings on time. Don't be late to practice. This guy's sitting there trying to tell me that he's got a problem with Jackson Dart going to a Trump rally when he can't even show up to a meeting on time? And he can't show up to practice and he's late? Dude.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.